come here, over to this side. Now poof your mouth. That's a good boy. Mommy?
Yes, sweetheart?
How can you tell when a fish is a him or a her?
I don't know. Maybe by the eyelashes.
I just didn't want to call it him if it's really a she.
I think you can call it anything you want, sweetheart.
I think I'll call it Jimmy.
Oh, that's a good name.
Have you ever heard of a goldfish named Jimmy before?
No, I don't think I have.
Neither have I.
Hello.
Oh, hi, honey, it's me. I'm afraid I'm stuck in radiology.
How long will you be?
I really don't know. I just got a couple of CAT scans back. I want to discuss them with Dr. Evans.
Well, we'll go ahead and start
Then. That is, if I can drag Cindy away from her fish.
Okay, look, I'm sorry. I'll make it as fast as I can.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, David. What do we have?
The patient is a 51-year-old woman named Margaret Weldon. She's been complaining of chronic tenderness in the lower left quadrant of her abdomen, and she has a palpable mass. What do you think?
You're not going to like it. I think you'll find a left ovarian tumor, the trabeculi extending into the surrounding area. I think you'll find there metastatic extensions, and that the tumor is malignant. Well, of course, it could be just a cystadenoma.
It's not a very good percentage shot, is it?
Not with the shape and size of it, no.
It's gonna be a tough one for me, Bill. Margaret Weldon was the most remarkable teacher I ever had. I hate to lose her.
Being turned into a laurel tree. Passion transformed into art as signified by the laurel wreath. Next, beautiful Venus, or if you prefer, Aphrodite. See her in all her splendor. Venus, unfaithful wife of Vulcan and lover of the rosy shepherd boy, Adonis. Another god consumed with passion for a mortal, not uncommon, especially in the works of Ovid. Now, I know you may be asking why people considered gods capable of such human behavior. But isn't that really the function of gods? The ancients often used their deities for identification, to explain the mysteries of life and death in terms that they could understand. Beyond Venus, watery Neptune, son of Cronus, keeper of the ocean kingdoms, and protector of ships. His chariot was traditionally drawn by seahorses, and ancient sailors claimed that the turbulent sea would immediately calm whenever Neptune would appear. And finally, Pluto, cold and pale, keeper of the kingdom of the dead. He supposedly was the ruler of the underworld, a land of ghostly shapes, watery apparitions, and the souls of the soon-to-be-forgotten dead. 'Twas a pale form whose soul they bore to lay outside of Pluto's door, and wakened him at dead of night, whose icy fingers clutched him tight. I will see you all in my class on Thursday, and thank you very much for your attention.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Mrs. Weldon. Oh, I'm sorry.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. You have quite a group of friends here.
Yes, we're old friends. Especially Neptune. He's become my most trusted confidant. I tell him all my secrets.
May I walk you out?
Of course, I just have to pick up my purse.
You know, I'm going to have to bring my daughter here to meet Mr. Neptune. We just got her a goldfish, and she is absolutely enchanted with it. She talks to it. She tells it all her secrets. I really think she would dress it if she was sure we weren't watching.
Well, beware. You may have started her on the road to anthropology.
Uh-oh.
Good morning. I remember my father buying several small for me to observe, as he said, the mysterious process of life. Finally, there were more processes than we had room for. And you see where it all led.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Now, I know you didn't come all the way out here just to talk about fish and rabbits. So how can I help you?
The scans we took indicate a mass of tissue in your lower abdomen, where you've been feeling the pain.
And?
It could be one of several things. Mucinous cystidenoma, which is a benign form of tumor, or some other cystic form of growth. Or it could be a malignancy. In any case, we have to consider surgery as soon as possible.
And which do you believe it is, David?
I don't know. We can't really tell until we see it.
You don't have to hedge me.
Yeah, whatever it is, the essential thing is that we take care of it as quickly as possible. So I'd like you to check into the hospital tomorrow morning. We'll schedule surgery for the following day. Will it be a problem?
I don't suppose it would matter if it were, would it?
Not this time, no. So I'll make the arrangements at Westbrook, and I'll look in on you tomorrow, okay?
David, you believe it is cancer, don't you? I need to.
I won't lie to you.
Daddy,
Yes, sweetheart.
let me know how much I love him.
Well, I don't know that he understands exactly what love is, but I'll bet he's glad when you feed him, and that's kind of like love.
I'm sure glad, because I sure love him.
I know you do. You know, I was talking to a lady who knows all about the people who lived a long, long time ago. And she was telling me that some of those people actually worshipped fish.
Why did they worship fish?
Well, you see, sweetheart, when people don't know about Jesus, they worship lots of other things. Stars, animals, well, lots of things.
I'm glad I don't have to worship a fish.
How come?
Because they're too squiggly.
I hate to interrupt you two philosophers, but the young lady has past her bedtime.
Good night.
Good night, sweetheart. I love you.
I'll be in a minute to tuck you in.
Well, I'd better get going.
Are you making rounds tonight?
I want to look in on Margaret Weldon.
How is she?
She's frightened. Of course, with her, she'll never let you know. She asked me yesterday if I thought the tumor was malignant.
What did you tell her?
I said I didn't know.
Well, you never know for sure what you'll find, do you?
I know what's on those scans, and she reads me like a book, which doesn't help at all. Oh, Diane, I tell you, sometimes I get so tired of this battle.
I love you. Yes.
Oh,
May I come in?
please do.
Thought I would stop by and see if you were all settled in.
Oh, yes, they've thought of everything, haven't they? All the amenities.
Well, we try. As long as you're comfortable, I won't disturb you.
Oh, please don't hurry away. I've just been reading this marvelous book somebody gave me, all about the Cretans. Did you know that they had a religious ceremony in which the ministers, or priests, whichever they were, performed the sacred rituals while riding on the horns of wild bulls? And apparently it was a seasonal thing, a tribute to the god for spring rains, or the necessary crops, or perhaps even long life. I've just been sitting here thinking how futile it was, risking death in the hope of gaining a longer life, with no assurance anyway. It doesn't really seem very much of a bargain, does it?
Mrs. Weldon.
I'm angry, David. Terribly angry.
Why angry?
Because there's nothing to protect me anymore. Nothing to hide behind. I have spent my whole life as an anthropologist smiling at primitive peoples' cultures, their strange superstitions. But at least they died with some hope. I have nothing. My science is cold and rational, and it leaves me nothing. And I can't cope.
I know that darkness. I see the fear in faces every day. But I also see something else, Mrs. Weldon.
Tell me what you see, David.
I see a God. The God I see is a living God who loves me, cares what happens to me. I see this and I feel this emotionally, but I also believe it rationally.
Go on.
This God has told me that death is not the end. After I die, he'll recreate me and give me a new life. Now, if this God loves you and has a purpose for you, you can believe him when he says that death is not a wasteland without hope.
Right now, my emotions want me to believe anything. But an old scholar remains skeptical, I'm afraid.
You always were a skeptic. What is skepticism, though, in the presence of something like this? Tell me what you see. Go on.
A rose? A beautiful rose?
On the surface. Now look beyond that. What do you see now?
Cells, biological systems?
Right, systems. Systems of active transport, of reproduction, of respiration. A genetic code as complex as any other life form. Enzymes, proteins. It's all right here. Simple beauty and infinite complexity. Now imagine the power, the intelligence that it took to design something as complicated as this. But that's just a rose. What about you and me? What about the power, the being that it took to create a living, caring man and woman? What about that? I can't believe that all adds up to just another myth.
David, just exactly what are you saying?
That there's somebody out there, beyond this darkness that you see right now. He's telling you not to be afraid.
What does it take to believe?
I'm doing surgery. Yes, I'll be right there. Be right there. Call Dr. Hampton, okay?
Thank you, Doctor.
I'm here. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
I think I understand what you meant with the rose, David. And when we have some time, I want to ask you a few questions.
We'll have a long talk in the morning. I promise.
Thank you.
Move that retractor a little to the left. Give me some suction in there. Hemostat. A little more suction. Okay.
What do we have?
I don't believe it, Joe. Come here, take a look.
Movable. Doesn't look invasive.
It sure looks like a mucinous cystidenoma. Okay, let's get this thing out of here, send a sample to the lab. I think it's gonna be a beautiful day. You'll find this multi-loculated cyst just sitting there, no attachment, nothing.
Dr. Burke.
Thank you, Joe.
How did it go on, Mrs. Wells?
Benign.
We better hurry. Your daddy will be home for lunch soon.
I gotta go say hello to Jimmy. Jimmy! did Jimmy have to die?
Well, everything has to die sometime, sweetheart.
Are you and Mommy going to die?
Not for a long, long time.
But if you and Daddy did die, who would take care of me?
Sweetheart, you don't have to worry about that. There'll always be someone to take care of you.
Oh, Daddy.
Oh, you can always go live with Uncle Jim, ride his ponies. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Uh-huh. Mommy,
Yes, sweetheart?
someday am I going to die like Jimmy?
No, sweetheart, not like Jimmy. You know, God knew we'd be worried about dying. And he knew we'd miss the ones we loved. So God said, if you love me, I'll make it so you can live all over again forever.
Is that a promise?
That's the best promise in the world, sweetheart. That's why Jesus is so important to us. You see, because he lives, we know we'll live again, too.
Daddy, did people really used to worship fish?
Well, that's what Mrs. Weldon said. She said that some of the fish statues were so big that the people actually used to pray to them.
Really?
Well, that's what she told me, anyhow.
I bet Mrs. Weldon knows a lot of good stories.
Oh, Mrs. Weldon knows lots and lots of stories. Hey, sweetheart. How would you like to meet Mrs. Weldon?
Oh, could I, Daddy?
I think it could be arranged. Come on, let's go. Morning. How are you feeling today?
Much better, thank you.
Good. Do you mind if I bring you a visitor?
Oh, no, of course not. Oh,
Mrs. Weldon, may I present Miss Cindy Burke.
how do you do, Cindy?
Fine, thank you.
Your daddy tells me you're very interested in fish.
I used to be until Jimmy died, but Daddy's gonna get me a new fish.
Oh.
Hopefully a healthy one this time.
Did people really used to pray to fishes?
Indeed, they did. And many other things, too. Strange gods, animals, all kinds of things. But that was a long time ago.
Daddy says that's because they didn't know about Jesus like we do.
Cindy, there is something that I would like you to remember as you grow bigger. It isn't always easy to find out the truth about things. And there are some people who take a long time doing it. A very long time. And now, if your father would let me out of this marvelous hospital, I would be so happy if you'd come and visit me when I'm doing the tour at the museum. And then, if you like, you can see those strange gods.
Could we, Daddy?
And beyond Venus, watery Neptune, keeper of the ocean kingdoms and protector of ships and fishes. Traditionally, Neptune's chariot was driven by seahorses, and ancient sailors claimed that the turbulent sea would immediately calm whenever Neptune would appear.
Dr. Weldon, why would intelligent people like the Greeks believe in anything as ridiculous as those gods?
Miss Phillips, belief is a remarkable thing. Unfortunately, modern science and technology have poisoned our thinking into believing that unless we can measure something and or analyze it, it doesn't exist. Now, I grant you, these Greco-Roman deities must seem rather far-fetched to all of us. But never make the mistake of believing that a creator God can't exist. On the contrary, many people have seen evidence that he does. And finally, Pluto, god of the underworld. Association with this god was seldom pleasant. He was the keeper of the kingdom of the dead, a land of watery shades, apparitions, conditions.